Sublime magnificence. Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, what is happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Grande on YouTube, back with another episode, a special episode of the This Guy Hasn't Seen podcast. And like every other, I am joined by my co-host and running mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hello, Omari. Thank you again for having me. Hello, Omaricans. It has been a minute. We've been doing this for a minute, and we've got quite the catalog built up over here, Omari.
Over 52, or exactly 52 movies that we've done. That's a year, folks. We've been doing this a year. That's crazy. I was presented with the idea of, hey, maybe every once in a while, I do something on the channel with you. And I'm like, cool, what's that gonna be? Maybe, I come in, suggest a movie or something, and we watch it. Cool. We did it with Hamilton. Immediately afterwards was like, cool. So what you doing next week? Want to do another one? Sure. 1 year later, we're still here. And it's awesome.
There you go.
I've enjoyed every step of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I thought it would be cool because, listen, 52 movies already is a lot of movies. It's a lot of shit. And, asterisks, they're not all movies.
True.
Some are TV shows. We have one thing in here that was 10 hours. 10 hours of a commitment that we put into one of these 52 segments here. So there is some time in this, and I didn't want to fully lose it in my brain. And so I proposed to you that we kind of take a moment, pause. We're not doing a movie this week. We're not doing a show. We're not doing a wrestling match. We're not doing a play. We're not doing a concert. We're going to look back at these 52 episodes that we've done, these 52 plus movies, things, and we are going to talk about them, discuss them, maybe pick some of our favorites, maybe pick some of our least favorites. Does that sound like something that might be entertaining?
Oh, I'm entertained either way. And it's my channel. So, that's what
this is just for you and me, anyway. So,
yeah, it's fun. No, it's for everybody to come along down the memory lane. Hell, they could even...
No. They're not allowed.
They can even...
You're not allowed.
Comment as well.
This is for me and Omari. This is a private conversation. I'll give you a second to remove yourself. All right, Omari, now that they're gone, I just want to tell you that, like, the few bit of people that do watch, that we do know do watch, because every once in a while, there's more than just 2 views on these videos.
There's 790 plus on one of them.
But what I just appreciate, it's just so cool. It's just so nice to think about the idea that somebody else is enjoying these things with us.
I agree.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm very happy that this is a thing and that others have.
I'm really glad this is a private conversation.
Yeah, you don't like to be a genuine person in public.
No.
A genuine person in public. What does that even mean? But yes. So back to the lecture at hand. Perfection is perfection. So I don't understand. Anyway. We got some questions.
Yes.
About, as we remember, we're going to go over kind of like not an award show, but kind of like an award show. We got some categories we figure we reminisce and talk over.
Welcome to the 2023 This Guy Hasn't Seen Awards. And now your host, Faye.
I hate Zoom sometimes.
They cut a bunch of that.
Faye.
Guys, that was great.
It was.
Who am I talking to? You're not here. It was great.
It was.
It was great. I did it really well.
I know.
I was so
That's
happy
why
with myself.
it came in just enough to hear the grrr and from like the grande, and then faded back out. I'm like, damn, this is epic.
All right.
So we're gonna go ahead. We had a list of things to go ahead and kind of look over here. So, first question I had here from you was favorite guest brought movie.
Yes, we have had a lot of friends come by.
We have,
and that's really awesome that they have partaked in our little game that we've been playing. As I've said it so many episodes at this point. It's almost my intro, but get yourself a friend and start doing a movie club like one would do a book club. It's, and this is for the people that aren't already in book clubs, I guess. If you like books, do a book club, obviously. But if you're someone who likes to consume the other forms of media, get a buddy, get a girlfriend, get a boyfriend, get somebody, get a family member.
Fully agree.
I would imagine doing this with like a dad or a mom or an aunt or an uncle or somebody from like a generation above you would be very cool, very interesting. The things that you would end up, because you're forced to watch it. You've made a commitment, and it's so hard to find things that
to watch new things
in the sea of content that's out there.
Yeah, it is hard to commit to watching new content when your safety net is right available to you. Do I want to watch a horror movie when I don't normally watch horror movies? No. Friend suggested a horror movie for my thing for us to talk about next week. Guess I have to watch it. I might or might not have enjoyed said horror movie. That kind of deal. So it's still, now now you have that in there, and it's an extra memory. And even if you didn't like it, even if you don't like what they suggest, y'all could talk about it, yuck it up. Remember the part where the strip club burned down? That was hilarious. But there's lots of stuff. Anyway.
So, yes, we got on that tangent to say that we've had a lot of friends that have come by.
We have. We've had Super Jazz. We've had Ibn. We've had
Super Jazz.
We've had John Zepp. And then some of them have come on more than once. Super Jazz.
Yes. I have the full list here if you want me to run down them. This last year, obviously not calendar, another asterisk here, not calendar year, the year since we've started this. We have been brought the movies of Wanted from the aforementioned Super Jazz, Lady Bird brought by Super Jazz, Wait Until Dark, Jazz's final movie of the year, and then we had a pit stop from our friend John Zepp on his way to California, where he dropped off My Blue Heaven, and then finally Ibn came in with Hollywood Shuffle. So, out of those movies that I just listed, what would be your favorite, Omari?
So, there were a few of them to choose from. I knew what I didn't want my favorite to be. That one was an easy one. That was kind of a layup, if you will. I knew what I didn't want it to be. So, it wasn't Wanted. That's not in there. But I did like, at the end of the day, it came down to me having to choose between, I think, 3 of them out of the 5, because My Blue Heaven, while funny, it wasn't my favorite of these. So I was like, it's either Wait Until Dark, because I liked the way that movie went, or Hollywood Shuffle, because I like laughing. And I thought it was funny, and I loved the whole time capsule that is. Actually, they're both pretty good time capsules. I have an honorable mention for Lady Bird because, you know, when it comes to, hey, this is just a really good film, and how film is made, Lady Bird's up there. But as far as what I'm usually into and rewatchability,
right. Yeah,
I had to choose between Wait Until Dark or Hollywood Shuffle. And
like that's a classic Omari stance over these 52 episodes. Is like, I can recognize when something's good, doesn't mean that I don't like it.
Yeah.
Or that I like it more than this thing that may be quote unquote bad.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I don't yeah, exactly. It's like I can understand why you and everybody else would think this movie's great, while also being like, I'm going to rewatch this one because he said Tommy. So, you know, stuff like that. So, I think overall, especially because of what it ended up doing and hearing the story behind it, and us doing this, allowing me to hear how much that story or how much truth was put into it, I'm going to put Hollywood Shuffle. Though the honorable mention, Lady Bird, apparently did have a lot of the author's own relationship with her mother, I think we found out as well. So that also had its semi-autobiographical thing, but he said, Tommy! No, I like the Hollywood Shuffle. It also hit with the whole hit to home for, oh, black guy in entertainment. Huh. Boy, getting into being acting. So that's going to resonate with me on a different level. So that's why that's my favorite guest brought movie.
Yep. Yeah. So little behind the scenes, right before we started recording this, Omari was like, don't be surprised if some of your arguments may sway me in one direction or the other. And come to find out, on our very first question, your argument has swayed me, my friend. Because I had Hollywood Shuffle as my runner-up.
Okay.
As my favorite of the group. And I had declared Lady Bird as my number one. And your argument is exactly correct. Lady Bird is technically a very good film. It is worthy of its Oscar nominations. It has great acting performances, and that is why my brain may have even autopiloted to holding that name in my list here.
And you'd have been justified in doing so.
But Hollywood Shuffle was more enjoyable. I had a lot of fun watching that movie, and I had a lot of fun talking about it with you and Ibn.
Yeah.
And that cannot be overlooked. As you were talking, and I was like, am I ready to fucking change my vote? I looked down at what I had wrote as the question, and it was favorite guest brought movie. Not best movie, favorite guest brought movie. Some people may not find a distinction in that. For my purposes, in justifying my argument now, there is a distinction in those two questions.
I say it in a lot of words, but I am all about that distinction between favorite and best.
No, yeah, for real. So, congratulations to Hollywood Shuffle as the unanimous choice for This Guy Hasn't Seen His favorite guest brought movie.
Good shit, Evan. Yeah. All right, so I'll let you have the nominees first for the second category of the most standout moment.
All right, now this is one of them. This is one of them where I could have sat here for hours.
Same.
Scrolling through our list of episodes and thinking of things. Here's where I got on basically one straight scroll through. and I just kind of allowed my mind to boom, boom, boom.
I took a similar approach.
I filtered out several, and as I thought of them, decided how hard they slapped to me and put them down on my paper. So my nominees for most standout moment are Satisfied by Renee Elise Goldsberry in the musical Hamilton.
Ooh, all right.
Blade Boomerang finger slice in The Road Warrior. John Malkovich reads the letter from Nick Cage's daughter, Con Air.
Oh.
My face, I'm working. Oh, Daddy, come home. Why did I find The Ambush Oneer in Children of Men. And the bridge / Doasty sequence in RRR. And my most standout moment of our first year of collection is the Ambush Oneer in Children of Men. It is a one-take masterpiece of gunplay, car stunts, tragedy. Before that, comedy, levity. They literally fucking invented a new camera system for this one shot that has revolutionized the car chase sequence in film. I just listed so many heavy hitters.
Yes.
I would say 1A and 1B in no particular order are bridge / Doasty in RRR and the number of Satisfied by Renee Elise Goldsberry in Hamilton. And I even have to I gotta send a special runner-up to... No, they didn't get on my list.
Fair enough.
That's what I got, my friend.
All right. So, great choices. So I was trying to. So I also took an approach where I went down the playlist. I didn't watch the episodes themselves, obviously, because that's more than 52 hours of watching
right.
for 1 week. But I probably have seen anyway. Bottom line is, I tried to look and kind of like you, rather than take forever, I'm like, let me go. If I can think of something off the top of my head from this movie, I took memorable.
That's like the definition of a standout moment.
Yeah, what can you just think of from the top of your head from this movie?
Sometimes we're talking about those literally minutes after we get finished watching them. To be scrolling through a list of films, potentially a year to several months later, and that thing pops in your head, that is a standout moment.
Exactly. So I was trying to think of things that I remembered from certain things, and I listed a few things here. I had the bathroom scene from Bridesmaids, because
it's great. It's a great one. I
also remember, I even remembered you talking about that moment and just how hilarious you found the final moments of it with Maya.
Yeah, that's ingrained in my memory. It really is.
Tucker and Dale bees and all the stuff that leads to with the bee scene, the bees and the chainsaw. I thought that was a good one, but it could have been other things with Tucker and Dale, but that was the first thing that came to my head here. The Children of Men one-shots, mainly the ambush. And the fourth one, Superman versus Clark from Superman 3.
Ooh. That's a good one.
I debated putting something from RRR as well, but
there's so many.
And I was just like, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna stop it here at these 4 because
I wouldn't be surprised if RRR is well represented later on in your list as well.
It's probably gonna, but it probably is. But because the Superman versus Clark, the way that fight goes,
those are all great, and I am amazed that we came up with such different lists. That's so cool. That's so cool.
But there was something in common between the 2 lists, and that's the Children of Men ambush scene. The one shot, and the fact that it starts as early as it does, the one shot it does, and lasts forever, and pretty much everything else that you listed. That was crazy. I remember having my mind blown when that was like told to me, like, and I'm like, how did you mention it? And then going back and watching it, and you're right, it incites like, holy. So for me, I had to say that's probably the number 1 out of that list. For me, the runner-up out of this particular list would probably be Superman versus Clark, because with the way I like to talk about things and try to talk about them in a funny way, it lends itself to that perfectly, because it is the end of that scene is iconic and random as fuck at the same time, and I'm here for it. And you're like, but isn't that the worst superhero? I had someone ask me recently if Superman 3 was the worst Superman movie, and I'm like, I don't know if it is. I can see people saying it, but I can also think of at least that iconic moment in a good way where people. I've even had like a 64-year-old woman at my job when I mentioned I saw it. Oh, I loved it. Let me tell you, in the theater, when he did the end, we all just. I'm like, fantastic.
I can only imagine. I mean, like, the fact that those 2 moments did not appear on my list is astounding to me. It blows my mind that they didn't come up, because, like, as I talked about in those episodes, the bathroom scene in Bridesmaids, Maya Rudolph crossing the street, burnt into my brain. It's coming. It's coming. It's here. It's here. And then as I talked about in the Superman 3 episode, that's like, I knew that the movie was bad, and I thought we would get a lot of talk from that. But also, as I expressed, like that. Like, Superman to me as a child. So basically, everything. Superman to me is that trash compactor sequence. Like, that is it. That is my childhood.
Now, I will do one more honorable mention that didn't get a nomination here from my life overall, not necessarily from this show. Damn near everything in Tales from the Hood, but definitely the ending, the Welcome to Hell, This Is No Funeral Home, has been burnt into my memory since fucking childhood. And that stood out before we even watched it, but that's not.
I heard you talking about that the other week in that show that will not be named.
Gotcha. But fair enough. But yeah, that stood out forever. Oh yeah, you saw me and the other guy come to the epiphany, the same epiphany I told you about in the episode, where I was like, wait, that song came from this?
So we're giving it.
Yeah, I think Children of Men.
2 questions down, and we got 2 unanimous decisions.
Yeah.
The ambush winner from Children of Men, most standout moment of our first year.
Indeed. So that takes us from 2 good things, favorite guest Bros movie, most standout moment, to the most disappointing. Now, I took that as most disappointing thing we watched, not necessarily disappointing moment, but disappointing suggestion. Correct. Okay, good.
Yeah, like you were like, you were here, and then by the end of it, you were here.
Gotcha. So I'll go with the 3 that I had. So I had remembered this first one, and it has come up numerous times. I had remembered it favorably because I thought that there were a couple good performances in the movie. And then we watched it, and then I kind of realized that this ain't all that. And considering I had followed up Hamilton with this suggestion, literally our second video on the channel, Molly's Game made it onto the list. Another one, for nostalgia purposes, kind of blinding what I thought about the movie as a whole to watching it again now in the modern, Players Club kind of let me down based on expectation. That's literally there were still things I did remember and find cool, but overall. And then there was The Greatest Showman. Yep, that was a disappointing one as well. Probably disappointing at least a couple of our regular viewers on that one. But yes, so of the three, I'm going to say those are the three main ones. I tried to think of anything else that I thought was a disappointment, and even if it was something that didn't necessarily get received as well as I thought it would, it wasn't as much of a letdown to me as these were. And I'm going to go with Molly's Game because that just stuck with me, and because of how much I ended up cycling back to bringing it up, including today, I'm gonna go with Molly's Game as my most disappointing. Because the actors,
it was your first selection too.
I will stand by the fact that Idris Elba and Chastain have some good moments with their performances in it. I will stand by that. But it's disappointing that the movie couldn't have been put together in a fashion that made it good.
Yes, it is a shame.
I like the subject matter. I like the idea behind it. Everything was there. There was just, as we said in the review itself, there were a few things that they threw in here or there that just, they do it. Honorable mention to Bamboozled, because that also has a couple of extra things. It's not, it doesn't make it bad per se, but it keeps it in the obscurity level that it is, because there's a couple of shots where it's like, okay, you were trying this a little too weird. So Bamboozled as well. But Molly's Game gets the win.
For my most disappointing, I put on here Josie and the Pussycats, which was a selection by me. It was a film that I had seen in my youth because I think my mom was a little into it. And I thought I was ready. I was quietly ready for it to be like this satirical masterpiece way before its time, because I remembered the bit of the movie. You know, the whole bit. And so it was like, maybe it's just way before its time. Maybe it's really good, and it, like, the message is, you know, and you know, it doesn't, as we discussed in our episode, doesn't. It
turns out it was a product of its time.
Yeah. Next on my most disappointing, a guest brought film, My Blue Heaven. You hear Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, 80s, early 90s, whenever. You know, Steve Martin, Rick Moranis time, like heavyweight punching time.
Oh yeah. That's the era.
One could get excited for something, and it was although never a bad film, it was what I would classify as disappointing.
That's I can hear it. I can definitely agree.
But there is no contest here. Number one, with a bullet, is a comic book fan, a superhero fan, a theater nerd, a musicals fan, getting geared up to finally watch The Greatest Showman. And boy, is that a big dog turd. And whatever you guys just heard from me was definitely louder than whatever happened there.
And more legible.
For me, it's The Greatest Showman.
That's fair. Hey, Greatest Showman made it on my list too, so I'm right there with you.
So we got Molly's Game and The Greatest Showman as most disappointing of the year. Boo.
Boo. However, we can't stay negative forever. I mean, look at the imagery around me. It's all smiles. So what was the most surprising in a good way? I'll let you go with your nominees first, since
most surprising in a good way for me is Street Fighter, the animated movie. Wasn't expecting a whole lot. 80s animated film. I was expecting some like cheap garbage, but it was pretty decent. Didn't think about the fact that Japan would have made it. I was going into it, if we go back to that episode, I was going into it thinking it was a U.S. production in the 80s. Animated film. Thought it was going to be very for kids and very bad. It was neither of those things. So, Street Fighter, the animated movie, definitely makes it onto my most surprising of the year list. Wait Until Dark. Brought to us by one and only Super Jazz. I don't have any confidence in Jazz's movie taste. And so when we decided to bring him back and he suggested another movie, I was like, oh God, what's this gonna be?
I mean, fair.
But it was good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. And, you know, that was another, it scratched that theater nerd itch. I don't know if someone who either doesn't like doesn't really go into classic movies, or doesn't like watching plays like that, because it's basically just a filmed play, as we talked about again in that episode. I have morphed my number one while I've been talking.
All right.
It was originally going to be Wait Until Dark from Jazz.
Okay.
But I've changed my mind.
Oh.
Most surprising in a good way for me this year was Tales from the Hood.
Oh, okay.
Brought to us by you.
Why, yes.
I really enjoyed Tales from the Hood. You know, for what, you know, you don't go into it expecting The Departed.
Yeah.
Or The Godfather. You go into it expecting Tales from the Hood.
Yeah.
And even with those expectations lowered at a point, like because of that, probably I was like, all right, well, this is gonna be Tales. What? It's Tales from the Hood. It's gonna be like a Tales from the Crypt knockoff.
Yeah.
We'll see. And it was pretty solid, and it was funny at times, and it was scary when it needed to be, the level of scary that we tend to get into. So I'm just in the last moments. Tales from the Hood reaches up from the hood and snatches my most surprising in a good way award from the hands of the blind Audrey Hepburn.
Nice. Well, the blind Audrey Hepburn is a nominee for my own most surprising in a good way. That movie. Wait Until Dark was great. Grand Budapest caught me off guard because I had no idea what to expect out of it.
That British humor.
That good old Texas British humor. You know, kind of like what we do in the shadows. You know, there's the British. British humor also caught me off guard. And of course, in and of itself, because I couldn't have expected it to be what it was. And the way it worked and talked to me and all of that stuff in and of itself. And probably has recency bias attached to it. It was only a couple weeks ago. But in and of itself was a good one. But I think, much like you were saying, and we've shown already, you brought up a good point about Super Jazz and his movie suggestions. Which I'll honorable mention Lady Bird as well because of that qualifier of me using it to make this the winner. Wait Until Dark. I was not expecting 50s film, so. I was expecting Casablanca-esque black and white. None of that. It was just good. It was a good movie. Stood out in a cool way, as well as Aubrey Hepburn. Audrey?
Oh, I thought you were just complimenting the writer in a cool, in like a different kind of way. Wrote.
In a great way.
It's like, this is a dramatic pause. I forgot about the character's name being wrote.
Yeah, not Alan Cummings. Alan, very good actor, man. He was good, but I'll give Wait Until Dark my most surprising in a good way. Yeah.
Totally deserving. That was my initial winner.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Wait Until Dark and Tales from the Hood.
Indeed. Now, I don't think you have anyone from Tales from the Hood in this next category, though you might. Best acting performance.
Best acting performances.
Yes.
This is another one that my list could have been a mile long.
Same.
Oh, 1 mile long.
Same. Go ahead. I'm going to shout out because they're more in the favorite as opposed to best category. I'm going to shout out Clarence Williams in Tales from the Hood. Because
I mean, the second you made that joke, I was like, well, that old dude. That old dude could deserve it.
Yeah,
he might be able to deserve it.
No, you may. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You may have somebody on your list from that, but his performance, as we stated in that review, you can always go check it out. There's a whole playlist of all of these on the channel. In order. That role that he did had such an impressionist, like, in my head and on an influence on the person I am today.
As soon as you said it, I saw notes.
Yeah. So that I'd be remiss with all of that to not put that at least on my list of acting performances. Hell, I'll shout out the Lady Bird cast as well. I forget the main character. There were some good performances done in that as well. Yeah. Lovecraft Country, the uncle, Smells Like Tulsa. Oh my god. Great. Recency bias playing in Wesley Snipes in New Jack City.
Yo. So here's the thing. In and of itself, and New Jack City will not be appearing on my list.
That's fine.
Because they're not in the playlist yet. and I was only building my answers off of what's in the playlist.
Or they're not publicly in the playlist. Yeah. No, that's fine. Because I think
so they won't be represented in my list, but yeah, man, Wesley Snipes in that movie kills it.
Yeah.
There's a clip online of that I've seen of Chris Rock talking about like settling in for the like first kind of table reads, and him and Ice-T and Mario Van Peebles have been like working for like about a week, and they're just kind of, you know, rehearsing some stuff, blocking some minor stuff out, waiting on Wesley to get finished with something. And the whole time, like, Chris is like saying, like, talking to himself, like, I don't know who Wesley Snipes is. Like, he hadn't seen Major League, wasn't really familiar with this Wesley Snipes dude. And says Wesley walks in, and they start doing a read through of a scene, and he is immediately that dude. And they break. And Chris Rock and Ice-T look at each other, and they both go, "We're gonna be in a hit movie. We're gonna be in a hit movie because that dude is on some other level." And man, it's true. It's true. I'm blanking on his character's name, but he becomes
Nino
that
Brown.
dude. Nino Brown.
Yeah, no, Wesley. Yeah, Wesley was a nominee for me.
Shout out. He ain't gonna win, but shout out to Wesley.
Yeah. DiCaprio and Nicholson in The Departed. For various reasons. Definitely, especially DiCaprio. Because of all the emotions and stuff he goes to. And shout out to Damon as well. But I liked DiCaprio's performance more than Damon's for that.
Yeah, it's like saying you like crackers. Like, yeah, nobody dislikes a cracker. Like a nice saltine cracker.
Use a different.
But it's true. It's true. I can say it. It's true. Matt Damon is a saltine cracker with like a piece of cheese on it. Like, yeah, nobody, like, sure, that's fine. That's a nice snack. But it's a saltine cracker with a piece of cheese on it. That's Matt Damon.
Oh, man. Okay, sorry. Immature. Alright, but yes. And there's so many great performances throughout here. Throughout these, and hell, I had to pick one, and I'm gonna go. And while I did like, Rote was cool enough to make me want to play that role with the way that he did it. Same thing with everyone else I've mentioned, damn near. I'm gonna go with DiCaprio. Departed.
Worthy choice. I have said it on that other show in an argument with that other guy.
Whose name we've mentioned already.
That other than Django, which I could even make the argument that I like The Departed more because
I will.
Django is easier.
Also true.
It's a big, broad villain that he gets to play with some very strong evil moments. Does he do all of those incredibly? Absolutely, he does. But the small, subtle transition that Leo's character makes throughout that movie in The Departed, I believe is his best performance.
I'll give you that.
So I gotta support your take there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with DiCaprio because I think that was a standout performance to show people, oh no, this motherfucker's real. You know, and that's a I'm here kind of performance. Like, acknowledge me for the people out there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so DiCaprio. There are so many other ones and whatever. But what were your nominees, or who's yours?
So my nominees are Robert Shaw as Quint in Jaws.
Thought about him too.
Brendan Gleeson In Bruges.
Okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed.
All right.
Laurie Metcalf, the mom in Lady Bird. Yeah. And my winner of Best Acting Performance is atypical in this list. One of these things is not like the other. And it's this one. But it was so powerful to me. It was... He was everything to me for a few months there. His performance. Leslie Odom Jr. as Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone. As
Lovecraft Country?
No, Leslie Odom Jr. in Hamilton.
Hamilton. I knew it was a black guy. Yes. Yes. Ooh. Yeah.
Wait for it. The Room When It Happens. Dear Theodosia. All I have to do is show you his turn in The Room Where It Happens, where he has to go from in front of the table to behind the table, and that's my answer to why he won.
That's a damn good point, because you want to talk about I'm Here performances. The play is called fucking Hamilton, but this man made it about Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr is the guy outlined in the fucking logo.
Yeah,
for
very
the play.
few people notice that. Yeah, that is
I thought because of all the marketing, before watching Hamilton, I thought the whole idea was, what if Alexander Hamilton was black? Because clearly this guy's gotta be the main character that everybody talks about with this movie. Hell, with The Departed, you talk about other great roles. You talk about, what's her name's great song, the lady you mentioned earlier.
Renee Elise Goldsberry.
Yeah.
Angelica Schuyler, yeah.
Yeah, you talk about her performance in that song, and it is great. I don't care if anyone out there isn't satisfied with it. Yeah, I don't care. You will never be satisfied in that case. But if you're going to talk about songs that I've listened to, even from Hamilton or from a lot of the stuff, when it comes to shit that stuck with throughout, his songs, his main songs, not necessarily Dear Theodosia, just because I don't like listening casually to slow stuff, but Room Happens, Nonstop, shit like that. Leslie Odom Jr. definitely deserved a... Yeah.
So shout out to everybody else that we named, but congratulations to Leslie Odom Jr. and Leonardo DiCaprio on your completely fictitious award.
And with that, where there is a best, there is a worst. The worst acting performance. Did you fart noise?
Yeah. Am I first up? I'm first up on this one. My worst acting performances. Okay, guys, let's rip these band-aids off. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Christopher Reeves in Superman 3. Steve Martin, My Blue Heaven.
Ooh, yeah.
The entire cast of the Players Club.
I wanted to put something similar.
Katrina Bowden, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That the main female?
Yes.
Okay.
My winner of worst acting performances. All of these are either great people or great movies.
Some of them do better jobs in other movies.
Absolutely. My worst acting performance of the year is Damon Wayans in Bamboozled. Did I break you?
Okay. I don't know why no audio came out, but I was laughing. I think because I was trying to quote a line, but I don't really want to quote the one line that I always think of when I think of him in that movie. When I think about his treasured souvenir he keeps on his desk, and the voice he has, just those 3 words describing that. In that voice, you want to talk about things that just stuck with me throughout my life. Ah, my jolly. It stares at me and I put the coin in it. But I also have some weird French accent that's not good. But at the same time,
that's the majority of the reason why he's winning this.
Yeah, I figured. That's also why I laughed, because I'm like, I remember you going in about that being a terrible character choice, and me even agreeing then. So yes. All right. So worst acting performance. Much like best, there was a lot to choose from. You could go with any of the a lot of the old dub voice actors from back in the day.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, just I'll give them an honorable mention because some of the names I didn't even bother looking up because they just were not good. I'll throw them together in an honorable mention. I know you said there's no representation for it from you on here. Actually, I'll get there to it in a second. First, I'm gonna say the Players Club. I was going to nominate someone, but I couldn't decide just who. So I'm gonna steal your nomination of the entire cast.
I went through that exact same process. I was like, all right, well, I gotta pick somebody from the Players Club. Well, Ice Cube is really barely in it. I don't remember anybody else. I don't remember anybody else's name. The entire cast.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and borrow that nomination. Oh man, I didn't have Superman, but I did go ahead and nominate Ice-T from New Jack City.
He would have probably been on my list if that episode was in the playlist. He would have.
Yeah.
There would have been a good chance.
The second you mentioned Ice-T and Chris Rock sitting at the table, I'm like, oh, how could I not have included Ice-T? He's great now, and I love Ice-T. But that movie, it was one of his first, if not first.
Literal first acting performance.
It's just that it shows, and it's probably one of the things that.
The legend is, I hope I get this right. The legend is Mario Van Peebles overheard Ice-T say, "Man, you could put me under a microscope to see how much I give a fuck." And walked over to him and said, "You're going to be starring in my movie."
I mean, Ice-T does have a way with lines that he develops, especially throughout his career. So yes, I could definitely see Ice-T wanting Ice-T in a movie, if for no other reason, to get him to say a line like that. Like the people who made Snakes on a Plane literally just wanted Samuel L. Jackson to say that fucking line. And everybody was watching for that one line. You want to talk like Superman taking the shirt off? The theater I was in had a similar response to Samuel L. Jackson saying the line in that movie. And yes, unfortunately, I saw that in theaters. Snakes on a Plane. That said, ooh.
Is that your full list?
Not Daniel Wayans. Damon Wayans was pretty fucking bad. I'm gonna give it to Ice-T. Damon Wayans is a very good choice as well, but only reason I'm gonna say not that because the accent is a big part of what makes that role not so good. At the same time, there are lines in the movie where people address the fact that he's putting on a facade. So it's almost like he's trying to do a bad accent I know that might be a cop-out, but we're talking about why he's second worst as opposed to worst here for people at home.
Right.
So, cop-out though it may be, it is, because I could easily cop out and go, well, first performance, so Ice-T is better than Damon Wayans. But I'm trying to think, Damon has some experience at this point, experienced enough to where he was going to try to make an ill-informed character choice. And so he's putting forth the effort to act and put a spin on his character. It just didn't work out. Ice-T for me. New Jack City. Also might be recency bias.
Deservingly so.
I also might be recency bias.
It was pretty bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Congratulations, Ice-T and Damon Wayans.
I think there's a picture of Halle Berry holding a Razzie with a smile on her face.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right. So now we have up next the movie you would most show your friends. I picked. I didn't even nominee this one. I kind of went straight to it. Then when the idea nominees came in, I added 2 more. And you can probably guess what they are when I say the winner. Well, no, I'll say the 2 other nominees. They're Bahubali 1 and 2. The winner is RRR. Because I have actually suggested it to multiple people since we did the episode here. And been like, we need to have an RRR night.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's the same here. Not perfectly. I didn't. My runners up that I added long after I had already typed out RRR and put it in bold was Bloodsport and Superman 3.
Technically, I've suggested both to others as well, so I agree.
But yeah, it's RRR. It's RRR, and it needs to be shown. Like nobody's gonna accidentally come across RRR. Somebody needs to force it upon you. So that's me apologizing to all of the people that I have already and will continue to force upon until you relinquish and submit to my will and come over to my house and watch RRR on my big fucking TV.
Understandably so. Yep, alright, so that seems unanimous. RRR.
RRR, congratulations.
Shortest category, yeah. Now, for movie you would show to your mother.
I thought this was a fun little question to throw in there.
Yeah. This is...
I put down Slumdog Millionaire, Lady Bird, and Hamilton. I know my mother loved Slumdog Millionaire. Absolutely loved it. I can't speak on if she ever saw Lady Bird or Hamilton. She didn't really get with technology.
Fair.
And I always tried to... I bought her a Roku. I hooked up the Roku. I logged into all of my streaming platforms that I had at the time, and I would walk over and she would be watching SD channels, and I would be like, Mom, you have HD channels. But then I gotta learn new numbers. It's just a 7 and a 0 before it. If you're watching channel 2, just type in 702, and then it's the HD version. It's a 50-inch TV, Mom. I can't come over here and see you watching standard definition. It hurts my brain. It's just a giant ball of fuzz. Yeah, so she never really caught on to that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but she would have loved Hamilton. I know she would have loved Hamilton. And then Lady Bird is a movie about your mom.
There.
It's a movie for moms. So, I mean, that's kind of the perfect. I chose Hamilton because, yeah, that's the one that I think she probably hasn't seen.
Okay.
And she would have loved.
All right. So that's a good choice as well. So my list consisted of Wait Until Dark as well. Hamilton was also on mine because I know I've had a sibling suggest it to me before even we did all this. So, and I know she would have also suggested it to my mother if my mother had not already seen it. Also, with the main character being, Leslie Odom Jr., that's would be a good way to get her to watch, Mm-hmm. Also, because she's into psychology and all that stuff and the mental state, in and of itself seemed like an interesting piece to show her as well. Because
have you suggested that to her? Have you told her about that one?
Not yet, but I should. I just had this question presented to me within the last week of what movies I would show my mother. So I'm like, she might be interested in that.
From the way you talked, I didn't know if you had already, before we had even talked about this.
No, but much like you were thinking, as one should, personally with the question of show to your mom, I was like, personal spin on it in and of itself would also be a good one to talk to her, just because it deals with people's psychology and sense of identity. That said, if I'm just trying to watch something for us to enjoy and have a good time, probably also would go Hamilton.
Hamilton! You're the unanimous mom pick.
the one that started it all.
Oh, mom!
I love it. All right, so up next we've got
the big two.
The big two categories. We're getting near the end. The finish line's in sight. But first, before we end it on a high note, we must take one more dip as we go to the worst movie. The worst movie / entertainment choice that we've had this whole time. Spoilers, my choices were all movies. So I hinted at two of these in my most disappointing. Actually, we hinted at probably all four. I'm gonna go ahead and make the nominees all four of the things that I mentioned back in most disappointing. Players Club, Molly's Game, My Blue Heaven, and The Greatest Showman. That's right, I said it. Sorry to the Greatest Showman fans out there. However, the nominee is all The Greatest Showman gets, so calm down. Same with Molly's Game. Same with My Blue Heaven. My worst movie. And I don't know if I'd said my most disappointing. I don't care. It's The Players Club. Was the worst for me.
My nominees.
When we said the whole cast for worst actor, I mean The Players Club.
My nominees went as follows, and I had to limit myself to 5 here. My 5 nominees were The Players Club, The Greatest Showman, Jack Frost, Superman 3, and Wanted.
I laughed too much at Jack Frost for me to consider it, but you're right.
But the worst movie, without question, this year was The Players Club.
We be clubbing.
Another
unanimous
choice. What was it? It was Ice Cube's directorial debut.
Was it? Oh, that's right, because he didn't direct Friday. That was legendary black director, man. Whose name escapes me? John Singleton? No.
That was legendary.
Legendary black director, man. He's done a lot of stuff.
F. Gary Gray.
F. Gary Gray, a different legendary black director, man, than what I was thinking. But yes, F. Gary Gray. who did some other cool shit too.
Oh my goodness. I'm pulling it up right now just because I'm curious.
Oh, about whether it's his directorial debut.
No. Maybe not. Oh, come on.
I know he was heavily involved. Obviously, he did the soundtrack.
Yeah. It's not listed. For some reason, when you go to his page, it's not listed under his credits. But when you go to the Players Club, he is listed as the writer and director.
Writer as well.
Yeah. Sorry, Ice Cube. Boy, was this not good.
Yeah, the rewatch, like I said, it was remembered favorably because Bernie Mac.
Yeah.
And me and my bias toward Bernie Mac. But no, the movie as a whole, if we're being objective about it.
And it was probably one of the hardest watches.
That's
for me,
fair.
at least. Of
Especially because
of the 52.
Yeah. When you think of the quality and the dark moments that are supposed to be hard to watch, which is ironically when some of the good acting actually does kick in. And so just like, see, you are capable of putting on whatever. Anyway, Players Club. So,
Players Club.
we went down. Now let's go back up. The best movie.
The best movie.
Yeah. What we got?
I'm up. All right. So I haven't. I'm choosing this live with you. My nominees that I put down are Jaws, Children of Men, The Departed, RRR, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And Bill's best movie of the first year of This Guy Hasn't Seen is Children of Men. I can't deny it. It's probably my second favorite movie of all time. I was so excited when I found out we were going to get to put it on this and do this. It is, for me, a masterpiece. And these are all gigantic heavy hitters. I mean, you're talking like this is a list of Jaws. This has Jaws in it. Jaws is in here. Jaws. Fucking RRR. RRR took over my January. It just took it, and it was like it's mine. RRR is January. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once has been incredible this entire year. And then when you sandwich on top of that the amazing story and journey of all of these actors culminating at the Academy Awards. So incredible. But for me, Children of Men sits up there with like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where in my brain, for my brain, it just slaps different. It just slaps different than anything else. Children of Men. What is yours, Omari?
So, I'm gonna quickly make the distinction between best and favorite. Favorite, I had to choose between the Rajamouli movies and Bloodsport, and I think I also went with RRR for favorite. Best, or objectively speaking, I had The Departed on the list. I had Jaws. I had Godfather, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I didn't have Children of Men, but I mean, it revolutionized film, so obviously it's up there. Or the way we film things. That said, I thought about it between Departed, Jaws, Godfather, Everything, Everywhere. I went with The Departed because, kind of like Godfather, it's one of those things where I heard about. Well, Godfather was a different experience because it was a rewatch, but it's one of those things where I'd always heard about how great the performances were in the movie, how this is, big part of cinematic history type shit. And usually if something, while I can always agree with those things are good, if it reaches a certain level of notoriety before I get around to it, my hype descends into dislike and distrust. It's like, it ain't that. And that has led to me not watching a lot of the things on this movie, like our first one, Hamilton. That was the sole reason I hadn't watched Hamilton. It had become way too big to live up to the hype that people were giving it.
Yep.
And God's gift to musicals and shit. I'm like, oh. Now I ended up really enjoying it and enjoying the music from it. But Departed, for me, and I think it's because I watched it in my adulthood as opposed to if I watched it younger, but now I can appreciate a lot more of the emotions and stuff that are shown. Departed lived up to the hype. So did Godfather on a rewatch, but Departed is a movie that I would watch again before I rewatch The Godfather. I think is a better way for me to put it. And with that, I'm gonna say The Departed. My favorite, RRR, and obviously, we got the Bloodsport thing here in the background. That's way up there too. But that's more just, people beating each other's ass. But RRR, Bob Botley's gave me another director to look at, Rajamouli, SS Rajamouli, and look at anything else that he's doing in the future. I learned his name over this, so guess this is my acknowledgement too.
I respect everything on your list. I completely respect and emulated RRR being on this list. And yeah, I think The Departed is a great film.
Yeah, most do. So yeah, that is our nice little reminiscence show where we talked about all these things that we have watched, the 52 previous episodes as season 1 comes to a close, because we're not just stopping in 1 year. We're keeping it going, keeping the suggestions flowing. And next week, we got another one for you. Turns out we don't do enough horror on the channel. So we've got a suggestion from a guest. We'll announce the guest when they get here, because that's how we do. For Malignant.
Malignant?
Malignant. Like a tumor. I don't know. Maybe it's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
I'm sure the guy who suggested it would actually like the fact that we made an Arnold reference to his reference. Anyway, Malignant. If you want to see the other videos that we've mentioned today, there's a playlist on this channel. There's also some other stuff. Go ahead and check it out. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube on the Whatever We Want podcast, a show we do with the good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Come out and play. Super Jazz. I do that every week, every Wednesday. Just look up Whatever We Want podcast. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in.
Stop on by.
Thank you very much. Hey, Bill, you got anything you want to leave the folks with as we get out of here?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I want to get real with folks. Can I get real with folks?
Sure.
Today, lost a member of my family. little dog we rescued 8 years ago named Whiskey. Ironically, died from liver complications. You gotta laugh, guys. And yeah, he was a sweet little fucking dog, man. And it sucks. But I'm glad I have these things to come to.
I liked Whiskey. I still do.
Yeah. He's up there with my girl Teeny. As like the two, they're now the two dogs I've lost in my life. So yeah, I just want to thank you for giving me this outlet. I want to thank anybody who could be watching deep into this episode. My God, you've gone far. My hat's off to you, but not literally, because I don't do that for anybody. I love you all.
Same, buddy, same. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you so much. Adiosness.